Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. I'd also like to thank the Holy Land Christian Ecumenical Foundation and the Institute for Palestine Studies for co-sponsoring this and helping to bring Dr. Abdul Latif all the way from Birzeit, Palestine. So thank you, Ratib. I don't think Julia's here today. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention an event that we're having Saturday, the 17th of November, with the political cartoonist Mohammed Sabane, who's coming here. It's going to be an exhibit as well as a reception. We're going to have a reception for him. He's going to speak as well, and we're going to have a book signing. So it'd be great to have you here. He's also going to have a conversation with the director of the Cartoonists Rights Network. So it should be a good event. So if you can make it, please come out. And there's flyers at the front for more information. So my name is Mohammed. Most of you know me here. Would like to welcome you all. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and it's a pleasure to have everybody watching online. It's also an honor to introduce and welcome our distinguished speaker, Dr. Abdul Latif Abu Hijli, who's again here all the way from Palestine, and he'll be speaking about Birzeit University, where he is, and about education in Palestine. Education is a basic human right, which is enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UNESCO's vision, and a wide variety of UN legal instruments. Education in Palestine is essential. It's an essential part of empowerment and building a healthy society. And Palestinians are among the most literate, highly educated people in the world. But major challenges exist, of course, which are largely caused by the Israeli occupation, but also by internal Palestinian dynamics and funding. These challenges take place before, during, and after college or university. Dr. Abu Hijli will share his insights on overcoming the challenges posed to Palestinian higher education, which include incursions of soldiers into campuses, withdrawal of visas from international scholars on university faculties, and roadblocks and checkpoints that make it difficult for students to travel to their classes. These aggressive actions have been strategically designed to deprive Palestinians of the education that they need for social progress. As one of the human rights named in the UN Universal Declaration of 1948, any occupying power is obliged to provide it. But the rights of Palestinians are systematically violated. In this grim situation, Birzeit University has taken the lead in establishing the Right to Education campaign, which has spread to other Palestinian universities. Just a little bit about Dr. Abu Hijli. He's a professor of chemistry in inorganic chemistry and the fourth president of Birzeit University. And he has been in this role since August of 2015. Dr. Abu Hijli obtained his PhD in inorganic chemistry in 1981 from the University of Mississippi. He has been a faculty member in the Department of Chemistry at Birzeit University since then. He assumed many leadership positions at Birzeit University, including chair of the chemistry department, dean of the Faculty of Science, among others. He also served as the Vice President of Academic Affairs from 1998 to 2009. During his 11-year term, he oversaw the university's expansion into new academic disciplines, especially law and public administration, IT and health, as well as development of postgraduate programs. He also maintained an active teaching and research career, contributing to the development of academic courses and programs at the Department of Chemistry. So without further ado, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Dr. Abdul Latif Abu Hijli.
Thank you, Mohammed. I'm glad to be here again. Thank you, Mr. Rabi, for inviting me to talk about the education in general in Palestine and specifically in Birzeit University. I will say that Birzeit University is the leading institution of the higher education in Palestine. I will give a short history of the university. When it started as elementary school in 1924, it was established by a lady called Nabiha Nasser from the town of Bir Zayt, and she established this elementary school for girls at that time in 1924. And a lot of Palestinians used to come actually to Bir Zayt school. And George now, he reminded me that he got some education in Bir Zayt school, not a university, I mean, in maybe, I don't know, in the 40s or 50s, or in the 30s. And yeah, then this school, I mean, developed into a college in the 50s and the 60s. And this college used to offer, after, it was upgraded to a college, it used to offer 2 years education to Palestinians and some of the Arabs from the Gulf area, from Jordan, from Syria, Lebanon, used to come and get some education. 2 years in this 2 years college, they used to call it Bir Zayt College. Actually, this is in the 50s and during the 50s and the 60s. After the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza in 1967, the people who were the founders actually of Bir Zayt School and Bir Zayt College, they start thinking that why the young men and women of Palestinians should go abroad and get their degrees from outside. We want to keep these kids inside the country. Maybe we as a Palestinian, we learned our lesson not to leave home after 1948. And this is one of the good lessons we learned. And I will tell you now, the population of the Palestinians inside the historical Palestine is 6.6 million. I mean, more than half of the Palestinians are still living in Palestine. Yes, it is 6.6 million, including, I mean, the inhabitants of the West Bank, in the Gaza, and the Palestinians inside Israel. This is 6.6. Just for comparison, not for anything else, the Jews, which we don't like to classify people, Muslims, Jews, Christians, but anyway, inside historical Palestine, it's also 6.5 to 6.6, which means now the Palestinians and the Israel or the Jews actually 50-50 inside Palestine. Yes, and this is one of the important, I believe myself, that the universities, which Bir Zayt played a tremendous role in keeping the Palestinian people, and especially the young Palestinians, inside Palestine, by offering the higher education in the university. The Bir Zayt upgraded to a university in 1972, after the occupation of the West Bank in 1967. Before that, I mean, those students who graduated from Bir Zayt College, having these 2 years of education, used to go to the American University in Beirut and get their bachelor degree in whatever area and some of you maybe know that, and we still have a good relationship with the American University in Beirut. Then Bir Zayt became a university in 1972. And since then, it developed into, I would say now, to a comprehensive university. Almost we have more than 100 programs. We offer bachelor degrees in about 75 bachelor degree programs. We have about 35 master's programs in different areas. and we only have one PhD program, which is in social sciences. But the undergraduate programs, as I said, generally we offer bachelors in different areas. It's a comprehensive university, except medicine. We don't have a school of medicine or a faculty of medicine yet, but we have other things. I mean, we have PharmD, we have nursing, we have nutrition, of course, science, engineering, whatever. And now we have our student body is about 14,000. It is not the largest university in the West Bank and Gaza or in Palestine. It is the oldest and the first Palestinian university. We are proud that our international ranking, this is lately in the last 2 years, put us as one of the top 3% of the universities around the world. I mean, this ranking is, yes, we are one of the top 3% out of, 26,000 universities they ranked around the world. It's Birzeit, people look at it as, really is the leading institution in the West Bank in terms of educating people. And we have over 38,000 graduates now, graduated from Birzeit University. They are spread all over the world. And we are proud of our graduates. Many of the leaders of the Palestinian authorities are graduates of Birzeit University. We have, during these years where university developed into a comprehensive university, we received a lot of support. Financially and other supports from our friends inside and outside Palestine. I'll give you just, I don't have a picture of the campus or photos, but we have brochures. I don't know if we can distribute them. This is one, this is part of the campus Birzeit has. It's a very nice campus. We almost have about 30 buildings. I'm proud to say that these 30 buildings are donated by the Palestinians in diaspora and from inside. And each building costs not less than $3 million, which means an individual Palestinian, like the latest, the one who is building for the last faculty or the recent faculty we are having is the Faculty of Arts, Music and Design. And the building is donated for over $3 million, is donated by Samira Weda, who is from Jerusalem, actually, originally. And he's a businessman in the Gulf area in Dubai. And he donated this over $3 million to build this building. And the building we inaugurated recently, one of the buildings, is the building for the law and public administration, is also donated by Palestinians. His name is Riyad Sadiq, for over $4 million. And so on. We have a faculty of engineering, which has all kind of engineering degrees. It's been donated by Sheikh Omar Al-Akkad. He's a Palestinian from Java, and he donated over $5 million in the 80s, actually. This school of engineering has been built in 1979, 1980, and it was donated by one Palestinian, it carries, his name is School of Engineering, Omar Al-Akkad School of Engineering is one Palestinian at that time, donated over $5 million to build this Faculty of Engineering. The reason that people, they believe really in Birzeit University, that This is the leading institutions of the higher education, and they took this lead, and it really played and still playing an essential role in the Palestinian society. We have 9 faculties, as I said, except medicine. But in addition to the 9 faculties, we have 11 centers and institutions, center and institutes. And these centers and institutes, they are serving the community. This is one of our main mission, is to keep in touch with the Palestinian community, serve them, help them, and in many aspects. For example, we have a center of health education. This center do a lot of research related to the health of the Palestinians inside Palestine and outside Palestine. And every year we held a conference in Birzeit or outside Birzeit. Last year we held a conference in the American University in Beirut. And the main topic of the institute was, we were talking about the health of the Palestinian inside the West Bank and in Lebanon, for example. Yes, we do have communications with our other Palestinian brothers in Lebanon, in Jordan, and so on. Birzeit has, we are not isolated actually from the international community. We have a lot of programs in coordination with the mainly European universities, I would say. Because in Europe they have so many programs, higher education programs. One of them, they call it Erasmus Plus. Erasmus Plus, this is a European program that European universities can have, they can build a graduate or undergraduate program with universities in the Middle East, that Birzeit can join with the University of Jordan, with the University of, for example, of Rome or whatever. These 3 universities, for example, they can have mobility of the students in and out from Palestine, which is very important for us, that our students, they have to go outside Palestine and to see how other universities functionings. And we would like, we receive also academicians from Europe. They can come and spend a few weeks or a month and so on. We have some connections. Most of our communication and connections in terms of higher education is with Europe. As a Birzeit University, we try to have a consortium, actually. We did have one, and it is not very active. We need to activate it, where Birzeit is a part of a consortium with American University in Beirut, American University in Cairo, and American University of in Sharjah, I think, and University of California at Davis. Yes, we have this consortium, and we meet every 1 or 2 years. One of the projects we are having related to environment and energy. And actually, it's been supported by Palestinians in Dubai. This consortium and the research we are doing together is being supported by a Palestinian who is a businessman also in the Gulf area. In addition to as I said, to these faculties we are having and centers and institutions, we at Birzeit University offered the Palestinian Authority 20 acres of land and to build a technopark. A technopark, it's a science park where young Palestinians from Birzeit and other Palestinian universities can come and do their, it's an innovation center, and it's a center for these youngs that they can start ups, they can start their own companies. We want to connect them I mean, the idea is to connect the academia with the market, with the business, and with the industry. This is the science park, which is being donated by the Indians, actually. The Indians donated $12 million for the Palestinian Authority, actually, to build this science park. But the Palestinian Authority, they says Birzeit is the one who is qualified to run this science park. And actually, the president of the Birzeit University is the chairman of the board of this science park. And we are building now. We did not start yet, functionings, but almost we finished from the buildings. And this is another thing we are doing for our society. I don't know. I think I give you just, this is a brief information about the university. Of course, let me mention this. This is important. Birzeit campus has been closed 15 times by the Israeli military. The latest or the longest closure was during the first Intifada from 1988 to 1992. The campus was completely closed by the Israelis during these 4 years. We have to move next to Birzeit town. There is the city is Ramallah, and we have to move to Ramallah. And we rented houses, apartments. We used to teach in our apartments, in our homes, and so on for 4 years, just to continue. Yes, because we are not allowed to enter the campus. The campus was completely closed. This is the longest. Of course, during these closures, they used to close it for 2 months, 3 months, and so on, and we open again, and so on. But this was the largest one. Now we have some of our faculty members are, some of them, they are of Palestinian origins. They hold, many of them, an American passports. They used to come to Birzeit, and we offer them a contract for 1 year, and they usually take this contract and show it to the they call it civil administration of the Israeli civil administration, and they used to give them a 1 year visa to stay, because they have to. In the last year, actually, some of them, they deny renewal of some of these visas to some of these faculty members. And 7 of them now are going maybe to leave if the Israelis will not renew their entry visas. And this is one of the difficulties we are facing. Internationalization these days is very important for the faculty members and for students. And this is one of the things we want to bring, not only the Palestinians in diaspora. No, we want to bring our colleagues and academics from United States, from Europe, and from everywhere, because we have to be part of the international community. And this is one of the main mission of any university, is to be part of the academic life of the universities around the world. Cooperation between universities are essential for all. For students, for faculties, for the society, and so on. Well, I'm ready to take any questions, but this is very brief information about the university. Yes.
What year was the university founded?
1972.
Okay, the high school then.
High school 1920. School starts in 1924. And, it starts a private elementary school, and they developed into, during the years to a high school. Then the high school upgraded to a college, and so on. This is exactly at what year, became a high school, I don't know, maybe in the late 30s or 20s, something like that. Yeah, something like that, I would think. Yes,
Do you have any support from Israeli academics?
of course not.
No, none at all.
No, we don't. We don't, I mean, we are under occupation. You don't expect people who are under occupation to cooperate with the occupiers.
Some of the Israeli academics.
Maybe, but the officials,
At least one Israeli professor.
maybe some of these are individuals. You can't build I mean, these are institutions. I mean, individual, of course, we have some, but we don't we have no any academic relations with the Israeli institutions.
I would like to mention something that has always bothered me a lot, and it's about time all organizations, including Birzeit University, which my mother went to, which my brother went to, and I have attended many of the functions when we were in Ramallah area. I would like to mention Birzeit University in occupied Palestine.
It is in occupied.
We should mention this to the world.
Yes.
So they would see, they will look back and say, my God, we should help those people not to be in an occupied area, to give them more freedom to do what they want to do.
Of course, this is our address. It's in occupied Palestine.
I want to see if you can change the address to say occupied Palestine.
It is actually.
Yeah, we should put it.
I have a nephew who is doing a PhD at Hebrew University, and he was just visiting here. And I have a friend who has been teaching for decades at Birzeit. And so I wanted to find out about Birzeit from my nephew. And
What's his name?
The instructor.
What is his name? I think?
His last name is Haycock.
Roger Haycock?
Yes.
Of course.
You know him?
Of course I know him. He's been in Birzeit for 35 years.
Yeah, a decade.
And lately he's been out by the Israelis.
He's been what?
He left.
Oh, he left.
Of course, the Israelis did not renew his
he's
visas.
one of those who left.
Yes, of course.
Oh.
Roger Haycock is one of them. I worked with
do you know-
Roger many years. Roger is my friend too.
Well, he's my old boyfriend. Do you know where he went?
Yeah, I can tell you where is he. He's in Cyprus, I think, these days.
Oh, yeah, because I knew he would not come back to this country.
Because Roger, he is fighting to come back to Palestine. He's not accepting that they refuse his renewal of his visa.
He'll probably go back then. But my question is, my statement is that my nephew told me about what he said about Birzeit was, they do these very, very political, they only do political work, and it's looked down upon, and and they won't allow any Jews to come and become students there. So in other words, he had a very negative view, which he got, of course, from Hebrew University. He's a German Icelander himself. He's not an Israeli. But I just wondered if you are familiar with this attitude from students at Hebrew University.
Well, I will tell you what, the Israelis will not allow their students to come to Birzeit. I mean, you see these signs in the roads which says, as an Israelis, you are not allowed to enter the A area. The A area, which is the area, they says, of course, Israel is controlling everything, but they says this A area is controlled by the Palestinian Authority, and the Israelis are not allowed even to enter it. You see, and Israeli students are not allowed by the government to get education in the Palestinians, institutions. And do you believe that maybe 90% of our 14,000 students, they don't know Jerusalem? The distance between Jerusalem and Ramallah, it's about 15 miles, 20 kilometers, something like that. And a lot of these young men and women, they never been in Jerusalem. Because if they want to go to Jerusalem, they have to have a permit from the Israelis. It's not, I mean, the borders or these checkpoints are not open. I mean, to cross the checkpoint as a young Palestinian, you have to have a permit to go to Jerusalem inside. Do you want them to come and get education in the West Bank? I mean, this is...
So it's just the opposite. It's just the opposite.
Of course.
But you mentioned that the school had been closed several times by the Israelis.
No, yes.
Is that because the Israelis perceive political activity?
Well, you know, any people under occupation, they will, you know, have, let's see, peaceful resistance. And Birzeit University is and was doing a peaceful resistance to the Israelis. This is one of the things. Those young men and women, they've been subjected to harassment every single day. I mean, do you want them to just do what? I mean, of course they express their resistance. They never use violence, to be honest with you. Most of the resistance we are having is students. These students, I mean, just, you know, parades and maybe, to be honest, maybe throwing a stone or something like that to the military. I mean, that much, I mean.
Excuse me. Are international visitors, teachers, or speakers, are they allowed to come to Birzeit? And
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I mean, usually, actually, most of them, when they arrive to the airport, some of them, they will not say they are going to teach or to do a lecture in Birzeit. You know, as a visitor, they will give you a 3 months visa.
I see.
But what I am talking about, these are faculty members. They used to have a 1-year residency in the West Bank. They have to renew it every 1 year.
Yeah.
It's not a visa for only 3 months.
I see. But a visitor who's coming as a visitor to
For
Birzeit University,
yes,
would they allow him to
yeah, you can come. I mean, for a month or so, but I mean, as a visitor, as a tourist,
Yeah.
I mean, something like that. I mean,
And my second question is, your students, if they have, you know, a proposal to go and spend some time outside,
Yes.
like in the United States, are they allowed to go and
yes,
come
yes,
back
yes,
and
yeah,
come
yeah,
back?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Of course.
We heard once that if you leave, you can't come
No,
back.
no. I mean, if you have a residency, I mean, the Palestinians' ID, either a West Bank ID or East Jerusalem ID. These are two different IDs. You see, I hold an East Jerusalem ID. We call it the blue ID, and the other one is a green ID, the people in the West Bank. And yes, I mean, the borders between us and Jordan are open. 14, yes, they can leave. Yes. Of course, I mean, we have students or graduates. They can travel, and as long as you have a Palestinian ID, of course, you can come back. But if you don't have a Palestinian ID, of course, that's it.
Students with no Palestinian ID?
Well, not really, but most of the people there, they have. That's what I'm saying. I mean, because some of the students, we have international students, they come and get enrolled in one of the programs we have. We call it Palestine Arab Studies, where some of the Arabs or some of the foreign students from all over the world, they can come to Birzeit and study Arabic language for 3 months. Or the course, we designed it for a 3 month course just because the visa is for 3 months. Those students, they get the course, in Arabic language and maybe in some Middle Eastern study or something like that. And after these 3 months, they can leave. They might want to come back. We don't guarantee that they are allowed to come back. That's the reason that our semester usually, we have, the university, we have the American system. We have first semester, second semester, and we have summer sessions. Each semester about 4.5 months. We have the American system, the credit hours completely. It's our higher education system is an American system. And our semester is not 3 months. But those students, international students who come to this program, we have to do it. It's a concentration. We concentrated and we reduced the time just to accommodate this 3 months visa.
Doctor, we have a question from online. What sort of restrictions, you touched on this, but what sort of restrictions Palestinian universities suffer because of the Israeli occupation? Specifically, is it possible to import equipment, and does it limit the kinds of courses that you can offer? Actually, I was going to ask a similar question. How easy is it to get high-tech equipment?
Restrictions in the courses, there is, Israelis, they don't. There is no relations, and our curriculum, our courses is designed by us, and we have to have accreditation from the Palestinian Ministry of Higher Education. But to export high-tech instruments and machines, yes, there are restrictions on that. And sometimes when you import a machine, for example, it might stay in the Israeli port for 4, 5 months, 6 months for, inspections, whatever they call it. And it is, you can't import anything. Some, for example, there are some restrictions of them to import some items.
And they probably blame it on security.
It is security. Yeah. Actually, it is. That's what this is. Always security is the.
And how about, for example, the internet? Is it
No,
restricted?
no. It's in general, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could just elaborate a little bit about some of these things, because
About what, sorry?
specifically, for example, maybe you could talk about the right to education and specifically what their aims are and what they're countering. I think, I'm not sure this gentleman understood your answer to the question about people coming in to the airport. And if you come into the airport and say, I'm going to study at Birzeit, I'm going to teach at Birzeit, I think you need to be clear about what happens to you, as opposed to coming in and saying you're a visitor. And also, I think there's a lot of other restrictions that you can talk about. For example, as a chemist, as a chemistry person, are you allowed to import all of the chemicals?
That's what I said.
Yes,
some of the items are not allowed. Of course. There are restrictions.
And books, to even get in books. And, the restrictions are, I've tried to ship books to Birzeit. They've been held and then destroyed.
Maybe.
So,
but
there's a
these
lot of
days, most of the books are in the internet and you can download.
And also that 3G. Yes, you have internet, but you don't have internet that a lot of the rest of the world has. You don't have internet that American universities have.
Yes. We still have a 3G. Recently, we have it still 3G, the last 6 months, I would say, something like that. And you are right. There are some restrictions, and but as a Palestinians, we are good in creating things and go around checkpoints too. We've been under occupation for 50 years now. This is a long time. People being under occupation for 50 something years. This is something, I mean, you can't imagine how it is, I mean. And what I am saying, if you are an academics or that's, I'm not saying this is for sure, but you might have some questions. Why you are going to Birzeit? What you are going to do that? Some of these people, they just say we are here as visitors. Maybe they don't mention they are going to Birzeit or to another Palestinian institutions. For not having all of these questions, getting in or going out, what you are going to do, what did you do, and so on, be care. I mean, so this kind of things.
I mean, if you invite a speaker to come to speak at Birzeit,
Yes, yes,
is he allowed?
yes.
They object.
No, it's allowed. Yeah, no. Well, it depends. I'm talking in general. That's what I'm saying. There are some cases you might not be, allowed to go. It depends on the person, actually.
I can elaborate a bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of the people that come, although they do have an invitation from the university that invites them to come as speakers, a lot of the time coming in through Ben Gurion, they do not mention that they're coming to the university. They usually give reasons like they're coming for pilgrimage or to visit Israel, and they do not, quote unquote, and they do not say they're coming to the West Bank to avoid being questioned further. The past program that we have, the Palestinian Arabic Studies program that we have, which Jews, Christians, and Muslims around the world are invited to come join for 3 months during the summer. A lot of the students that apply to it are also can be banned from entering the country since they also come through Israel. So they can be banned. It depends a lot on their affiliations, if they're outspoken, if they are associated with BDS. So like entering the country, it depends more on that person's affiliation more than if they're coming to Birzeit or not. Yeah.
But I mean, if they have no background issues and they are coming,
Yes, they can. Yes, of
They
course.
can enter.
Yes.
They are in a lot of foreigners entered, but again, like Noam Chomsky, it depends more on the fact that he has BDF affiliations and he's very outspoken against Israel more than that he's coming to deliver a speech at Birzeit University. Also referring to what you're saying about Palestinians leaving the country and not being able to come back. This is usually it is people from Jerusalem that is targeted by this law that says if you have a Jerusalem ID and you leave the country for more than 7 years and do not visit Palestine during those 7 years, and that the Israeli government can what's the word?
Withdraw the ID.
Yes, they
I
can
mean-
approve that your center of life is outside Jerusalem, then your ID is taken away, which is also a rule that used to be applied in the West Bank before Oslo. Before the Palestinian territories took over, people from the West Bank that left Palestine between not between 48, between 1967 and 1994. Also, if they left the West Bank for 7 years, they weren't allowed back when they tried, which is the 7-year rule, proving that your center of life is not in Jerusalem. So basically, with our students, usually when they leave to through the Erasmus Plus European program, they leave for 3 to 4 months. So that rule does not apply to them. Also, why the university is usually closed over and over again. It's not because we are a secular university, we're not affiliated with any political views, but it is simply an attack on the right to education, because our existence as an institute that educate the Palestinian youth, that our mere existence is a problem to them, and our existence is resistance, and they try to limit our work as much as possible. That's the main reason why we're closed all the time, not because of our political views, because we're a secular university.
So there are no specific events then that cause Israel to close? They don't mention, some inciting event?
No, but they do raid the campus on occasions like the Student Government Association elections. Usually the students form themselves according to their political views. So although that's merely a student activity and does not represent the university affiliations, that's only student point of views. So they usually formulate themselves according to their political views. So Israel raids, the Israeli occupation raids the campus on different occasions during the time of elections to know more if there are students affiliated with any political groups. Although they're not affiliated on a political level, they're affiliated on an ideology level.
Professor? Follow up for that question. Is there a student newsletter on the campus?
Sorry?
Does the university allow a student newsletter?
Yeah, of
Yes.
course.
Because I think we would like to hear about the students. what
You
they are
know,
thinking.
students usually they hold elections every year, and we have the student council that they elect its parliament. I will say 51 member, and it's freely. We don't interfere with their elections. Nobody. This is inside the campus. And yes, the students, they are inside the campus. I'm talking about students inside the BZ campus. They are free.
Can we see these newsletters here in the U.S.?
Anyone who would like to join our electronic newsletter can write down their email, and I will be happy to put you on that list.
What's the email address?
I'll give you my list.
Professor, are there programs, political science or leadership programs, that will help the young students get leadership skills to deal with the diversity within the Palestinian community, such as Hamas, Palestinian Authority, and then to reach out to the international community to get support, because America and Israel certainly aren't going to help them out. Are there political science or other programs like that?
Yes, of course, we have a political science department. And this is the normal, it's not different from the political science department you have here. And we have other programs like international studies. It's the normal ones. The Israelis, I would say the occupation does not interfere directly with the programs you are offering in the Palestinian universities. The one who accredited these programs, as I said, the Ministry of Higher Education of the Palestinian Authority. The accreditation come from there. But of course, there are some restrictions always to a lot of things. But as Bir Zayed University, we do our best that our students should express their opinion and they should accept others' opinion. This is one of the basic principles of Bir Zayed University, that students are free to express their opinions and respect other opinions too.
Professor, could you comment on what the students do after they leave the university? What kind of activities go in? Employment must be very difficult.
It is difficult, I mean, for the graduates I mean, most of the Palestinian universities, and employment these days is little higher than usual. But usually students, they go, I mean, do their own life. I mean, they go to the shops, they do some work, they do some sports, as usual, but not, I mean, the movement of the students is little restricted. That's what one of the examples which I said. Some of these students, they never been in Jerusalem, for example, because there is a checkpoint. If you want to go to Jerusalem, you have to have a permit from the Israeli government, except the students who are holding an East Jerusalem ID, of course.
What about startup companies and small
Yeah,
companies?
they can start the companies.
But are they actually doing, is there much activity like that, or is it?
They are. I mean, this is one of the things we are trying to do in the Science and Techno Park, that these startups, and we will encourage students to do business and startups, and we do that. Yes.
I can elaborate some more too on that. We do, as young students, we do try our best to have a normal lifestyle, but the checkpoints and the violation to the right to movement within the West Bank is very restricted. So for a lot of us that attend Birzeit but live far away in other regions in the West Bank, there's usually a checkpoint or two to go from the university to our houses. So a lot of the time when we finish classes by 4 or 5 o'clock, we don't have room to go do other activities because we have an hour or an hour and a half to cross the checkpoints to go home. So the checkpoints all over the West Bank are a major hindrance to the right to movement and hinder the activities that the students can do after school, which is why on campus the university tries to provide a lot of extracurricular activities that the students can join, because they can't join many in the evening after classes. We also have an incubation project. We have the B Hub at the school, the business hub. A lot of Palestinian businessmen, one of them lives in the US, in Florida, funds up to $20,000 for students with innovative ideas for us to incubate their ideas into startups. So that is a project that has been almost around for 2 to 3 years. And the Techno Park does a similar work for Birzeit students and students from other universities as well.
Thanks. So following up on this gentleman's question, are you able to track what happens with the students who have graduated from various programs at your university in terms of employment, other than the startup initiative?
Yeah, we started this program, we call it Masari. And this program allows, it's on the website of the university, that students, they can load their CVs, and we will tell them if there are other companies they require there, for example, a job, they can apply in business or in some other fields. Yes, we have this recently, and usually we have a department which is, it follows up where our students, an alumni, I would say, office, and we are collecting data. As I said, we have 38,000 students graduate from Birzeit. We don't know exactly where all of them, but we started recently, which means the last 2-3 years, that we want to track all of our graduates and to be in contact with them and try to help them actually as much as we can. I mean, the new graduates, they can apply for a job through the program we created. We call it Masari, that we give them, we help them and we give them information where jobs can be available and so on. And we help them how to write their CVs, for example, and to present themselves in a better way. Yes.
I just have a comment about all your question. I see that you are all interested in Birzeit University and all you have a knowledge of what's going on in Birzeit and in Palestine. You are not just beginners, you know. And that's why the professor, the president of Birzeit here, and with Dana, which she is the development lady, you know, for the university, who really makes things happening. It is in a process to track the alumni in the United States. Second, we are in process how we can have revive the Friends of Birzeit. And this is where we need your help later on, you know, when this comes together, to give us your expertise. You can volunteer in Birzeit or in Palestine to help, you know, the university. It doesn't have to be in the university itself, but we need your support later on when it comes to that point, because each one can do something, because each one can at least, you know, sponsor students for 1 year, you know, $2,000-3,000 a year, instead of paying $40,000 and $50,000 here for university. That's what goes there. And this is where later on, through Jerusalem Fund or through our organization, we're gonna spread the word where we need your help and to be part of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
One question. Do you have an idea about about the percentage of students that graduate and stay in Palestine versus the ones who leave?
Oh, I don't have exact, but I would say most of them. Yes. And this is the idea. It was behind, you know, establishing higher education institutions like Birzeit. Of course, some of them, they go and work abroad or get study abroad, but most of them, they come back to the West Bank. For example, we have our graduates. They are, many of them, they work in the Gulf area, for example. Those students, they don't lose their residency in the West Bank in East Jerusalem, because they go for 1 or 2 years and they come back during summer, for example. They spend a month with a family or so, and they go back to their work in the Gulf and so on. And actually, it's important for these young men and women to go outside and work with that. And at the same time, the money they are earning, they are supporting their families in the West Bank and too. I mean, if they work if they have a good salary in Dubai or whatever. Actually, most of the institutions and in the Gulf area, a lot of the buildings there are done by the Palestinians. And this is known, I mean, historically, that Palestinians played a good role in building the Gulf area, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and so on. And we have a lot of our alumni are there. Yeah. What? Oh, a lot of, I mean, we have a lot of these, I mean. Yes. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I just want to come back to the issue that both of you have raised of the difficulty of traveling into and out of Ramallah area and Birzeit area. First of all, are there dorms on campus? Are there students for whom the travel is so onerous that they must live on campus? In other words, not international students, students from within the West Bank. And also, all of the other university partnerships that you've mentioned so far have been with universities in other countries and Europe and so on. Do you have a consortium of Palestinian universities like Jenin and Islamic University of Gaza and so on? And how does that work?
Yeah. Well, then answer the, I mean, in and out, I mean, the movement.
We are currently working on building a dormitory for females. It's going to be the first in the campus area. Usually, some students who live, for example, in Jenin and Hebron, because they're very far away and commuting daily would be a very big struggle. They do live in apartments owned by the people of Birzeit. The rent isn't very high, but for some Palestinians, it is expensive. So there are a part of the student population that cannot afford living in the area. So they do have to commute. We do try to offer scholarships to as many students as we can. Some scholarships do include living aid, but the struggle to get the funding continues. And every year we do try to work on getting as much funding as we can for all the students, but sadly, we can't provide scholarships to everyone. Like we can't provide scholarship to as many students as we want because of funding restrictions. So we are trying our best to now build the dormitory for females, which will be big enough to host a lot of the female students in the area. And hopefully, if the funding permits, we will open dormitory for male students.
Yeah, just for your information, about 60% of our student body are females. Yes.
And what about the connections with other Palestinian?
Connections, of course. You know, we have the Higher Education Council. I mean, that's the one who, you know, we meet usually, and we discuss problems in each, you know, for the higher education in Palestine in general. And we have some, you know, joint programs. For example, lately we have masters in electrical engineering between Birzeit and Polytechnic Institute, University in Hebrew, for example. We have another, today actually I was reading that the Ministry of Higher Education says they will accredit a PhD program if three Palestinian universities can join this program and so on. Because these days the Ministry of Higher Education is trying to have some restrictions on accreditation of repeated programs, they call it. And yes, we do some coordination. Maybe it's not enough, that's right, but at least each of us know what's going on in other institutions. I mean.
Do Arab governments or Arab institutions help financially support you in any way?
Not really. Arab institutions or government, we don't receive from,
Why? Is it by the Israeli law? Or
No. Israeli has nothing to do with that. We do have some, you know, some supports, not directly from the Arab governments, I would say, from some Arab funds, for example. And this supports not only for universities, actually, it is for other Palestinian institutions. But any support these days, any support from government, it has to go through the government, which means it has to go through the Palestinian Authority. I mean, no government these days, Arab governments, will support higher institutions like Birzeit directly. They might, if you have a project or something like that, you have to be to go through the Palestinian Authority. Previously, they used to. I mean, maybe through BLO at that time, but these days it has to go. I mean, recently there were restrictions in having money from government to government. I mean. Well, of course, the Palestinian Authority says they are the authorities. Then any support to the institutions they should know it, and it should go through them. But as I said, not an official government, but there we receive support from, we call it the Arab funds, different Arab funds in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Gulf area, and from individuals. There are no restrictions in individuals, for example. As I says, the buildings we are having, these are donated by individuals, Palestinians. And the government has nothing to do that. But your question is government to government. I mean, it has to go through the government. That's what.
Dr. Abdul Latif,
yes.
Thank you very much for
Thank
all
you.
your work. I just have a question about kind of your vision for the university, kind of a short-term or a long-term vision. Do you want to increase the endowment? Do you want to build new buildings? Do you want to start a medical school? What is kind of your larger vision?
Maybe
if you can get the funding.
all of them except having new buildings. We think that we have enough buildings now to accommodate all of our student bodies. We will concentrate in endowments. We want to help our students as much as we can. Although we are not a governmental university, we don't receive from support from the government, from the Palestinian Authority. We used to receive maybe $500,000 or something like that, which is nothing compared to the university budget. But even that, it has been reduced lately. Almost the government does not support us. We depend mainly on the students' fees. And the donations, for example, as I said, buildings are not in our budget. Because all of the buildings are donated. So our budget is salaries and running costs, consumables and other things. But buildings, we don't include it in the budget. And this is one of the reasons we are concentrating in building an endowment for the university, trying to help our students as much as we can by obtaining different scholarships for them, undergraduate, graduates, or even supporting them to go outside and get their PhDs or masters and come back to the university. We do that also because we want to build our staff and our academics. The other thing, as you know, this is something very sensitive to me when you talk about School of Medicine. I've been trying with the Board of Trustees now for many years to start a School of Medicine. I'm not succeeding yet. But yes, we would like to have a faculty of medicine, in Birzeit, because we think we are qualified for it, and it is very important for our, community in the Ramallah area and in the center of the West Bank, I would say. We have, yes, you are right. We have the infrastructure. If we are talking about, for example, a 6-year program in medicine, already we have the pre-med there, 3 years. We have very good science and health faculties, in terms of to have, pre-med education.
I want to also say something, because you mentioned endowment. I want to talk a bit about the funding. So back in the day, when the university had sat down and wanted to determine the cost of the credit per hour, per student, they did not sit and calculate it based on what will the student cost us. They sat and calculated it according what can the Palestinian afford. Because our mission is equal and quality education for all, and our work revolves around ensuring that all students can get the quality education that they deserve, whether they have the financial means to or not. So now the tuition of Birzeit University is only 60% of what the student cost the university. So the other 40% have to be subsidized, but then there are also the students that can't even pay that 60%. So their whole scholarship has to be fundraised for. So one of our goals is to grow the endowment fund. you know how it is in our part of the world. The political situation is not stable, so the sources of funding are not stable and can be affected by anything political happening in the region. So the endowment fund is a sustainable alternative. In our part of the world, in the Gulf too, the culture of endowment isn't popular. So our focus is to spread awareness about our financial issues and to try to grow our endowment from Palestinian Americans and Americans that have and know about the culture of endowment and how important and sustainable it is as a source of finance for the university. So when someone asks me what's the tuition, we give them two options. So as I said, the student only pays 60% of their cost. So that's around $2,500 per year per student. We give donors two options: to either pay the tuition fees only, and it goes directly toward the student, or to pay a $4,000 scholarship, which we call it the academic cost scholarship, which is what really the student costs the university.
And by this, paying this, the academic cost, it helps the university actually to cover the 40% she mentioned.
That we need to subsidize as well. So the $4,000 scholarship helps the student as well as the university budget.
This, of course, does not include the cost of living and these things. No, just we are talking about academic cost only.
Okay.
You sent us some newsletters that come out from the campus to this institution.
Yes, sure. I mean, if you have the website of the university, you will find a lot of the news and information every day. I mean, the website is easy, www.birzeit.edu. That's it. birzeit.edu. And you will we have a very good, website. We have news and activities every single day. Yes.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question.
I wonder if on the question of restrictions of movement in dormitories that the woman over here asked, I wonder if you could back up a little bit in history and talk about where Birzeit is today and where Birzeit was before all of the checkpoints in terms of the makeup of your student body. Like, how many students from Gaza do you have now? How many students, how has the restrictions of movement had an effect on the university in that way?
Of course. Yes, before the closure, I would say, of Gaza, in Birzeit especially, because people from Gaza would like to come and get their education, although they have their own universities in Birzeit. We used to have 25 to 30% of our student body from Gaza. Yes. But now we have 0. Yes. No students from Gaza whatsoever. Of course, they are not allowed to come to the West Bank. And if some of them get a permit, they will give it for few days or for some activities in the West Bank. But to give them a permit for a year or 4 years, that's now is not available. But before that, you are right. About 25 to 30% of our students, but they used to be from Gaza Strip.
Dr. Abdul Latif, thank you so much. I hope we can help somehow with your university, and thanks for all the great work. It's great that you're in the top 3%. Was it worldwide?
Yes, one of the top 3%,
so
and one of the top 50 universities in the Arab world. Where the Arab worlds have more 1,000 universities. We are ranked one of the top 50 universities in the Arab world.
Congratulations.
In spite of all of these difficulties. Thank you.
Thank you
for listening.